I had been anticipating the Smashing Machine for a while. In my view, and I assume in the eyes of many film lovers too, this was monumental. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock himself, had pulled himself out of big-budget grey action spectacle and into what I can only describe succinctly as real filmmaking, helmed by one half of the pair of auteur duo, the Safdie brothers. In the off chance that you know nothing about this film, here's the quick rundown. The Smashing Machine follows real-life UFC pioneer Mark Kerr between the years of 1997 and 2000 as he struggles with his professional and personal lives. It is difficult to avoid one topic when it comes to the Smashing Machine. How good is Dwayne Johnson as a thespian really? In my opinion, he's really good in this role. It's even probably his best on screen. For the longest time, Dwayne Johnson has come across as a guy with minimal acting talent. A big, charismatic guy who happens to pick less than stellar movies. Mostly. Pain and Gain is awesome.
Damn it! Why'd you make me do that to you, Victor? I have responsibilities! Jesus Christ himself has blessed me with many gifts. One of them is knocking someone the fuck out!
But that was over a decade ago. I think he may have realised this when he made the jump to classy A24 produced sports drama biopic. He doesn't disappoint as Mark Kerr. The first thing to take note of is the transformation. Not the makeup, I'll get to that shortly, but the physical bodily transformation he had to go through. For this film, it is reported that he had to gain approximately 30 pounds in order to play the part. More so than other Dwayne Johnson characters, Mark Kerr needs to feel that true-to-life physical dominance. But the real meat of the performance is within the cadence of his speech. The film is clearly focused upon the gentle giant aspect of Kerr, and the deliberate contrast between Johnson's size and mannerisms aids in the emphasis of that aspect of the man. The makeup effects also carry some of the heavy lifting. Johnson is an incredibly recognisable figure in modern movies, not only because of his distinct Schwarzenegger-esque physique, but also because of how prevalent he is online with his lead roles in major tentpole releases, his social media, and his companies. So it may seem difficult at first glance to take his venture into proper acting seriously. That is where the prosthetics come in. While watching the film, I was aware there was Johnson on screen. Hard not to. But it's afterwards, when I saw images of him out of the makeup when advertising the film, that I noticed how different they made his face look. It's something in the nose and eyes where the metamorphosis seems to be taking place. Aside from the lead performance, the rest of the film strikes me as being slightly odd. This is most evident during the fight scenes in the ring. A key tenet of the Safdie's filmmaking is a focus on realism. Benny demonstrates that, in his pursuit of the real, especially in conjunction with the fact that, unlike the rest of his work, this is a biopic about a real man, he favours, in his cinematography, the objective perspective. Where the greatest boxing movies show their fight sequences from the subjective perspective, getting into the psyches of their characters, the Smashing Machine does no such thing. Fights are told exclusively from outside the ring, either in wide shots looking down or handheld shots looking up through the ropes at the spectacle of it all. It is a unique decision, and one, although perplexing, makes the film stand out in the sports biopic sphere. Then, dichotomously to this objectivity, is the implementation of score. Nala Sinefro, with a background in experimental jazz, brings that sense of musicality into the fight scenes. This is the closest we get into the character's internal states, without the use of dialogue. The fight scenes are improvisational, raw, just like the jazz playing in the background. To be honest, it is the fight scenes where I think this one really hits its stride, carving out a unique identity for itself outside of just being The Rock's turn at being a proper actor. I can't tell really if it's a matter of who the film focuses on, script issues, or a conjunction of the two, but it just didn't grip me as it should have. A key part of the film is Kerr's relationship to his girlfriend Dawn, and, not to sound overly dramatic, these scenes dragged. I know it's probably meant to be the emotional centrepiece of the picture, but it just doesn't hit. The worst of it is how poorly I found Dawn to be written. I can't attest to how accurate this portrayal of her is, but judging by how the relationship is presented in this story, it just comes across as far too confrontational to be regarded as healthy for either party. As a result, Emily Blunt, who I am a fan of, gets the worst of it. She isn't able to really outperform the stereotypical oppositional romantic partner trope oft found in sports and music biopics. My gripes with that genre will likely be addressed later this month. This is emblematic of the general anticlimax of the Smashing Machine. I'm not going to go in depth about spoilers, but it seems as if major plot points are skipped over, having chunks of time pass by far too quickly. Many may have this issue with the film's ending, but, personally, I found that the implementation of the anticlimax to be well suited to that part of the film. It's just that a series of scenes which are teased and or spoken about aren't brought up on screen. The Smashing Machine is the most overtly Oscar bait film I've seen in 2025. It ticks most of the boxes necessary for a hopeful Oscar sweep. Well-regarded author filmmaker, physical lead actor transformation, a true story which fits within the typical outline of the biopic. But I think it is this hope for Academy Awards glory which I think drags the film down. What made Safdie films stand out was the particular vibe they have, the aesthetic both stylistically and narratively that made them the great filmmakers they are now. Sadly, Benny seemed too focused on the potential of industry recognition that creativity seems to be, I'm not saying that it is, but it seems to be, hindered. Well, I guess I've just got to look out for Josh Safdie's Marty Supreme. When all is said and done, I think that the Smashing Machine is good. There's enough that I strongly believe to be interesting, which manages to avoid the pitfalls the film has established for itself. Oscar baity, but still good enough for me to like it. The Smash Machine? 3 stars. Well, that's all. Keep on watching movies and form your own opinions. See you in the next one.